In this tutorial in CyberLink PowerDirector, we're going to show you how you can add accent to your title text and how you can expand it so it seems to explode off the screen. We have a video we'll be using for a background. It's this mountain scene. We'll drag and drop that down onto track number 1. And when we play it, we have this nice shot of a mountain. Let's assume we want to call this Extreme Sports. So what I'm going to do is move my playhead to the beginning, and we'll add a title. I'll go to my title room by pressing the F7 function key or clicking on the T. I'll take the generic My Title and drag and drop that down into track number 2. When I click on it and click on the clock, I'll see that my default time happens to be 4 seconds. That's adequate for this illustration. I could change it and make it anything I want. We'll click on OK. Now what I'm going to do is, with that selected, double click on it to get into the title designer. And once I'm in the title designer, I'm going to change a few things. I'll highlight all the characters with Control A. Then I'm going to take the font and make it impact. I can simply type the name of the font family and press enter, and now it's impact. So what I want to do is change what it says. Let's say we want to call this Extreme Sports. So I'll type it in. And now that I have it all, I'm going to select it all again, and I'm going to change the distance between the two lines. The way you do that is on the left side you change the line spacing. You often don't see zeros, but you can drag up and you have all kinds of minus you can use to tighten that up. And I'll make it like that, and then we'll center it. Now let's change the font a little bit and make it very unique. This is unique to PowerDirector 365 or PowerDirector 20. We're going to go from uniform color to a gradient color. And on the gradient, we normally have just 2 gradient stops. We're going to make this 5 gradient stops. Let me show you what we can do with this. So I'm going to click on the left gradient stop, which is black. I'll change this by clicking on Select Color. I'm going to go to red and click on OK. Then I'm going to click next to it. I'll click the Select Color again, and I'll go to black and click on OK. Then I move to the right end. I'll do another gradient stop by simply clicking below the bar. I'll click here. I'll do another black. Click on OK. And on the bottom end, I'll click on the white. I'll change the white to the same color of red. So if I click off of it, this is what I have so far. Let's highlight them all again. I'm going to change this a little more. So we're going to change a little more red on either end. And then I'm going to go somewhere in the middle and do another gradient stop. I'm going to click on the black, and I'm going to select a white. And we can move this around, the red and the black. When I click off of it, you notice I now have a metallic looking accent to my letters. Let's move it a little bit toward the bottom, which is to the left. We can tighten it up or make it as wide as we want. And now I have Extreme Sports. Let me add an outline to that, which will make it pop a little more. We need to highlight all the characters again with Control A. We'll click on Border. Let's do a white border in this case. Click on the white for color selector. And let's make it a little bit narrower. I'll take the size and drag that down to something around 2 or slightly less. When we click on this, we have a really attractive border that has a nice metallic accent. Now let's assume we want to do something special with this. I'm going to click on my Align Objects, but I have to click the object. Then I'll do Align Horizontal Center, and then we'll also align it to Vertical Center. I could also drag it with the mouse. When I see the 2 pink lines converge, I know I'm centered. So now let's assume we want it to stay on the screen at the scale and then explode. I'm going to click my scale with my playhead on the left side. And then we're going to move a little bit forward. and then I'll press another button and set another scale keyframe by clicking the diamond. And then let's explode it. We're going to move in, let's say at about 1.5 seconds. And then I want to change another value. I want to change the scale, and I'm going to move to my object settings. Make sure I'm under object settings, and I'm going to go my scale to maximum. Now unfortunately this is as big as I can make it. I'd love to move it completely off the screen, but I can't. What I'm going to do is kind of cheat. So when I'm this large, I'm going to move over 1 frame, and I'm going to set an opacity value. Move back a frame and set that opacity value as well. Now they're both at 100%. So now I'm going to move to the right one, and I'm going to change my opacity so it'll shoot down to 0. So once it gets that big, it will disappear. It will almost seem as like it blew off the screen, or in actuality it didn't. So I'm going to take this and click on OK. Now we have our new title. Let's see what happens when we play this. Now that's not the kind of playing it's going to show when I actually render it, but what I like to do in this case is I like to take a section like this, and we'll drag the orange box to the left or right. I don't have to render the whole thing, but I'm going to render most of the title, and I'm going to click on Render Preview in the lower right below the preview screen. When you do that, it will take some time, and it will actually render that segment. So when you preview it in your timeline, it's going to be able to give you a more accurate pacing of how the actual text is going to expand on the screen. This is very common with lots of text effects. So now you see the green line above. That means that's rendered. Now when I play it in the preview screen, that's more like how it's going to look. So if we go back again, you see it gets to the maximum size and then disappears. Now one thing I did notice when I worked on this is that when I start setting keyframes, it looked like it changed the texture of my editing that I did on the text. And it looks like, if I click back here, it's not totally reflective of what I had before. I'm not sure exactly why it did that, so I'm going to move all this a little bit to the right and see. Let me add one more red one on the left side. I'll click again. I'll go back to my original brighter red, click on OK, and now I have it back. I'm not sure why it did that, but this is an easy way to modify it. You can just add keyframes to control the color better if you need to. So that's a way to work on this kind of project with text, where you add an accent and expand it in CyberLink PowerDirector.